just in your random order. You're just gonna throw a curveball at us.
I figured that we could throw Steve in the middle of us.
That's where that's big.
Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Tangent Podcast, episode 119 for the week of June 19th, 2017. I am your host, Brian Thomas, alongside the bootless wonder, Gary Hines.
What's up?
And you may or may not have noticed we're down a few guys, but that's okay. We're bringing you an intimate conversation tonight.
Me and you, Brian.
Me and you, together.
I like the way that you just touched me right there.
Very nice.
Hey, Steve.
Steve, God Mike back there. How you doing?
Doing good.
Yeah?
There you go.
You gonna be in on this conversation?
I'm gonna try.
We want you together in between us. We want you here. Right here. We want
Sounds
you
like
here.
a place I don't want to
We
be.
want you right here in this nice tight hole that we have of intimacy.
Steve, how was your week?
Yeah, give us some stuff.
It's good.
Okay, Justin.
It's fantastic.
It's good. We did 2 podcasts this week.
We did a lot of podcasting this week. For those of you that don't know, E3 happened last week. So go over to youtube.com/pixelatedpoints and find all of our coverage on E3, from all the press conferences to the games you might not have heard of. But yeah, we're going to just kind of get into what we've been playing during the week
We're gonna fucking do this, Brian.
in a little segment we like to call Under Your Thumb, for those of you that don't know. And then when we don't have a Drunken News game show, there's no news. We covered that all on E3. So we're just going to kind of talk a little bit about the stuff that was kind of behind the scenes, interviews, things like that happened after the press conferences.
30-second free three-ways. It's just...
Yeah, it's postponed, Gary. I mean, we do have a three-way going on right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's still on.
Still on.
It's
I
still
think
on.
the 30-second three-way is still on tonight.
We shall see. We shall
right.
see. But first, let's get into Under Your Thumb. So it's been so long since we've actually done a proper podcast, Gary.
Yeah.
And I guess
You'd
this
imagine
isn't-
we've played a lot of games.
You'd imagine, but we've just been so busy editing and being on the road and traveling to LA and back to Boston. It's just a lot of work.
90 degrees out.
90
I
degrees
can't come
out.
upstairs to play on my PC, just sweating bullets. I tried this week.
You needed
I was
like a headband.
I came upstairs, sat up here for I got to the main menu of Overwatch
Yeah.
and was sweating bullets. And I was just like, nope, this isn't happening. And I went back downstairs.
Nice.
So,
Or
but
not
I
nice.
have played something. So
Yeah, I have a few things here as well, and I'm sure Steve. I know Steve has one game. I know that Steve
I
has
do.
one game.
it's like we talked about it.
Yeah, it's like we pre-planned this.
Yeah, we never do that.
No, we don't do that on this podcast. But you know what, Gary? I'm just going to let you go first, bud.
Me?
Yeah, please do. Please do.
Sure. So like I said, I didn't get to really play much this week. It's been now like a couple weeks. It feels like I don't know.
Yeah.
The days go by.
The scheduling is all off.
Time moves
What
on.
day is it? It's 2016. I have no idea what is going on. But Brian, I played a little game called Among the Sleep.
Okay, give me the elevator pitch right now.
Yep,
What is
so
it?
Among the Sleep, you play as I think probably like a child that is maybe 12 to 15 months old.
Okay,
Or maybe older because you can actually kind of walk a little bit. So I don't know.
doing a lot of crawling.
Yeah, doing a lot of crawling. You actually move faster when you crawl.
Makes sense.
Makes
you're not,
perfect
You're not
sense.
tumbling with gravity. You're just going.
Exactly. So it's actually a horror game that's in first person.
As a child.
As a child.
Okay.
The game opens up. You're in your little.
Crib.
No, you're not even in a crib. You're at the dinner table. It's your birthday, and your mother brings you a nice little cake.
So it's probably your first birthday.
1-year anniversary of being
Kids
born.
start walking.
Yeah.
They
You
call
1
that
year.
a birthday.
Fuck off, Steve. Your 1 year anniversary birthday.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. So they start you off like getting the controls down. You got to blow out the candle. Everything's pretty interactive in the game, actually. Like you can knock over like glass bottles, or just like you can grab your bottle, you can grab balls, and like whatever.
You grab
Grabbing
balls?
You just grab, you
Your own or somebody else's?
I think somebody else's.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden you're having your birthday cake, and there's a big knock on the door, and your mother's just like, "Hold on a sec, sweetie, I'll be right back." And then she like walks away, and then you hear like arguing, like, "Why are you here?" Like blah blah blah. So I'm taking it as the baby's daddy.
Oh, okay.
Some trouble in paradise. And
It's unfortunate. I hate to see a broken home.
yeah, it's pretty sad. And so as the argument's growing, the screen starts getting darker and things start shaking, and then like all of a sudden it like cuts to the mother like right back in the room, and she has a present. So from there, she picks you up, brings you into your room. She's like, okay, you can just play in here, like whatever. So the mother's just leaving her child in this huge room with a ton of like chokeable items and everything. So it's really good parroting. And she
Sounds fine
lets
to
you
me.
open the box. You open the box, it's a teddy bear.
Gwyneth Paltrow's head? No? Teddy bear?
What's in the box?
What's in the box?
And it's a little teddy bear, and then she leaves the room. Of course, the teddy bear comes alive.
Of course, Ted 2. Gotcha.
Exactly. It's kind of like that. And he's like, I'm going to play hide and seek. And so you play hide and seek with the bear. And it's kind of creepy, just like his tone of voice and everything. It's unnerving.
Okay.
And eventually he's like, oh, you got to go hide in the closet. And so then like you go into the closet. As you're hiding in the closet, the bear like finds you. And then he gets in and then like closes the closet door. And you turn around, and now the closet is turned into like this new like world. Like it's a
Gotcha.
You're, like,
Imagination.
child's imagination, right? And it's like really creepy, and there's all these noises, and then like there's a mechanic in the game where if you pick up the teddy bear, because he's riding on your back like the whole time, if you pick him up and turn around and hug him, then it like like the light glows, so that way you can kind of see more into the world, and I'm guess like more protected, but you move slower.
Gotcha.
And eventually you make your way through the closet, and the mother ends up finding you. It brings you back into your bed or your crib, and then basically the story starts where you're going to sleep, you wake up in the middle of the night, and you see your teddy bear just getting pulled out of the crib. There's a ghost or something, just pulls your teddy bear and like brings him out of the room. So you're just like in your crib, and then next thing you know, your crib gets knocked over, and then the game is to go find your teddy bear.
This is a fucking weird. It sounds very creepy.
Yeah.
Like, who has the thought, like, you know what? I'm going to make a first-person horror game as an infant.
That
And then
place in like in his mind, and
this infant has this already creepy connotation of what the, like,
world is.
What's happening there, Steve?
Piece of shit out of me. What are the graphics like?
Yeah, well,
It's pretty cartoonish, but
Yeah.
I mean it's first person though, so I mean they're decent, but it's nothing crazy. Like it takes place in this house. It's kind of hard to describe. Like it's not the best graphics, it's not the worst graphics, but it's very cartoony.
So what's the objective?
find your teddy bear,
I
Joe.
Well, I
think-
mean, of the overall game, you think?
So I think the objective is probably figuring out the story between your parents. I would imagine something like that. I think the teddy bear, because I did kind of already find him, but like that's how the story starts out. And like there's certain things you have to do to like get throughout the house. So like if I was to open that door, I'm too small to reach the door handle, so I have to pull this chair over there, get up on the chair to open the door, and then there's different avenues that you can like crawl into and like move around, and I'm guessing from trailers and gameplay that I've seen of it, it expands. So like I'm guessing if you go into a room, the imagination takes on a different form, and like I saw him like climbing through this like nightmare place and stuff like that.
It's like different like worlds per se.
Yeah, but it
Exactly.
all
He
takes place
imagines-
in this house. You know
Right.
what I mean? I'm sure like once you get to the end of that section, you're like going into another room in the house. Like if you go into the bathroom, it's something, or his
Right.
parents' room, or whatever. And it, like each room potentially represents
Into
something
like
else.
a new world. Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting. I got it for super cheap. I think it was like $5 on Steam.
Cool.
I was like, why not? So I've only played about 45 minutes to maybe an hour. I don't know. But, you know, we'll see. I don't know how long the game's supposed to be.
Fair enough.
I just want to kind of see what direction they're taking the story, and then I'll decide whether I want to sink some time into it. So
Gotcha. Well, I mean, it sounds interesting. It's unique for sure. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I've never heard anything like that.
yeah,
So,
cool. I can't tell you guys who makes it, when it came out.
Don't
but
worry. I'll get all that information, and
Put it right here.
it's just here in this general vicinity. It's happening. Maybe. I don't know. You'll find out.
I also played more Overwatch, Brian, of course.
Awesome.
And I've been solo queuing like crazy in competitive Overwatch.
Competitive solo queuing.
Yeah, that's all I do.
Okay.
I don't play quick play. I don't play arcade. I only solo queue and competitive. I'm closing in on 2,700 right now.
On the road to Diamond.
On the road to Diamond. So, I mean, the game is so fucking good. I mean, we've said it all. We've been talking about it for a fucking year. I got this crazy little idea, Brian, from jumping into your party chat one day. So I saw Brian was in a party chat, a bunch of people playing Overwatch. Saw Cox, saw you in there. And
He wasn't playing Overwatch.
He was playing
just,
fucking Elder Scrolls or some shit.
He was playing Skyrim.
Skyrim. Yep. Of course.
Should have waited for the Switch version.
Exactly. Or
Idiot.
the PS4 version.
Anyways.
Or the
Or
VR
the
version.
Cell phone.
Or the cell phone version.
the,
Or the card game. Or the version that's coming out in 2025.
Yeah.
You know, so I jumped into your party, and obviously I'm playing on PC, you plebs, and
We're playing on consoles for those of you that
so
aren't
it was
picking
through
up
the
on
Xbox app that I
Yeah.
jumped in your party, and I just heard the conversation as you guys were talking, and became not frustrated, but just listening to the conversation and how you guys were coordinating and.
We weren't coordinating, by
No,
the way.
there wasn't a lot of coordination going down. And then there was one conversation you were having in particular. I think I just left the party after that.
First off, I wanna throw this out there. I was not the person talking when you left, because the person talking was a different person, and I picked up. You dropped out of the party immediately because he was talking about Zarya,
Yeah.
and we were explaining to Carl, what up, that how to use him or use her in a nutshell.
Yes.
And trying to explain to him how to use it to somebody who's never played
Yeah.
as Zarya. So I start to have the conversation.
Yeah. I think you started it.
And then somebody hopped in and took over and then told Carl how to play as Zarya. And by the time we were done explaining, Carl had died and we were playing Mystery Heroes. So he just moved on to the next one.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know this. Zarya is my favorite character. I play the hell out of Zarya. And that kind of like it started frustrating me. And I was just like, I'm going to get out of this party. But it also got me thinking, like, what are, you know, and I think the conversation I was trying to have is like, what have you learned from playing Overwatch for a year, right? From the time you first started playing Overwatch
I see what you're saying. I
to
see
now,
I see what you're talking
and
about.
how did you feel like what's best improved upon? Like, how did you get better at Overwatch? Like, what are some like useful things that I think beginners that are coming to Overwatch in year 2 now or whatever it may be, because it's probably going to be Game of the Year 2017.
Well, if they remaster it and re-release it, of course.
I don't think they have to. I mean, they're still pumping out content.
Kidding. This is a bad
Don't
joke.
talk shit about Overwatch, man.
So, no, I think that's a great question. I think that that's something that I personally would say, you know, for anybody that's starting out, definitely just play matches. Whether that be you and 5 other randoms versus the AI that you can do, which is a great starting off point, because then you can kind of get a feel of what everyone does. You don't get mad. You're killing, you know, computer enemies or you're dying. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
There's not like a whole like sense of competitiveness when you're playing against a computer, but then you get the feeling of what each character does and how to avoid that, and just kind of. So I feel like that's a great step in starting out. And then obviously you can't play competitive until you're level 25.
Yeah.
So you start off and you play different characters. Play characters until you find one that kind of fits your play style and how you do it. And I know I am not a damage giving. What is DPS?
DPS.
I'm not that player, and I know that. So I don't pretend to be. So I know where my strengths lie, and my strengths lie in assisting other people. So whether that be, I have 2 mains, I would say, and my main is Zenyatta. Yeah. So Zenyatta can kind of hold his own against most people. I mean, if you're up against a tank, you're kind of fucked if you're one-on-one, but I've killed Pharahs, I've killed Tracers, I've killed Genjis, like, and it's just knowing your play style and knowing it's not so much what you need to do, it's how to counter the person that you're facing and knowing the situational awareness. So like when I'm Zenyatta and I'm in a group of people, I am healing people and I am throwing my Discord orb at the enemy. And if I have time, I'm trying to throw orbs out behind everybody else so they can't see me throwing orbs. That is my thing.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to do a ton of damage with Zenyatta because other people do that. My main job is to heal and hurt the enemy
It's
by
pretty much
throwing
know
Discord.
your role.
That's the huge thing, yeah.
I mean, because when you first started, I know when I first started playing Overwatch, it was, it's a crazy game. Like a lot of people, if you haven't played a game like this, like you're not going to fully understand how to. It's a really big team-based game, right? You have to be
You can't lone wolf it, and there's certain characters that kind of are supposed to do that lone wolf thing.
Yeah.
And it's more of a distraction, or it's more of a, this is your job, is to go behind enemy lines, annoy them, and leave. And that I'm good doing that with Tracer.
For like, exactly. So it's knowing your role, but also knowing like your type of role. So one thing that I recommend is, like Brian said, you want to pick a couple characters and stick with them. You know, for me personally, I have about 2 characters in each class that I'm really comfortable with. So I know if somebody on my team needs an attack, I know I can play a very solid Tracer and a very solid Soldier, right? And then if I know they want, you know, we'll say, what is it, support?
Support, yeah.
Yeah, you play support, I'll play Junkrat, or I play Mei.
That's defense. Support is Zenyatta, Symmetra.
Zenyatta.
That's the support class.
That's the support.
So,
but defense would be Mei, Junkrat.
Bastion.
Tank would be, I mean, I think anybody can play. Fuck Bastion.
Yeah.
Fuck Bastion. Don't play Bastion. And then for tanks, it would be Zarya. I'm actually like, for tanks, I play Zarya, Winston, Roadhog, and I can play Reinhardt. I like all the tanks except for Orisa. I don't really like playing Orisa. And then for healers, I'll do a Lucio or a Mercy.
Yeah.
Is usually who I stick with. But it's definitely just knowing your role. So like as far as like DPS characters go, if you're a Tracer, you shouldn't be sitting back. You need to be getting behind their lines, going after their healers. So that's another thing I've also learned as you play is, yeah, it's great to kill people, but you need to prioritize your killing. Right, so if your team is moving in, you guys should be using mics. Use mics out there. Mics are very
Step
important.
1, communication.
Yes, absolutely. So if you're communicating when you're going into, you guys should all be moving as a team. When you guys go in, you guys need to prioritize and call out, especially the healers right away. If you wipe out their healers, you're gonna win the battle.
Oh yeah,
like you're
time.
gonna win the fight every time if you can kill both healers, knowing their healers, knowing their Mercy, whatever. Where's Mercy? Does she have res? That type of thing. But you want to prioritize your killing, and therefore go like healers, then to DPS, then to leave the tanks for last because they're not going to do as much damage, and then you can just gang up on them.
Yeah.
So like it's definitely prioritizing and knowing your heroes as you play, and then I would also say, be supportive to all players, right?
Oh, big time. I feel. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. So don't blame the Hanzo. Is what I'm going to say. Don't blame the Hanzo. The best thing you can do is if somebody auto picks Hanzo and is like, I main Hanzo, that's what I main, or I main Widowmaker, like whatever.
Try to build a team around
that character instead of, because what happens, and this happens on PC and competitive, somebody will pick Hanzo right away, and then everyone's like, "Oh, this fucking guy, blah blah blah," starts going after him, and then everyone starts troll picking because they're like, "Fuck this game! Like we're not going to win this anyways. We got Hanzo."
Yeah.
So then they're picking Torbjorn on attack, and it's just it's
unnecessary.
No, yeah, it's cancerous, right?
Yeah.
It just spreads, and then everyone's just like your whole team just goes to shit. So like one thing I'll say is like, don't matter who picks what, because you don't know how comfortable that person is with that character. If they're really comfortable with that character, they play it a lot better than you do probably. So just let him play it and then hope that he's good at it. And so that's definitely something that I would say is don't be that guy that blames Hanzo.
Also,
right?
don't be afraid to change characters midway through the game.
Yep.
That's a huge thing. If something isn't working, if you're running around as a Genji and you're just getting killed the entire time, maybe switch it up. Maybe you don't need a Genji, or maybe their team is, better suited to take out Genji. So maybe try and have different, like Gary said, like you're comfortable with 2 or 3 characters in each class. For me, for example, I'm comfortable with, I would say 1 in each class and then 2 in certain scenarios. So like support wise, I'm pretty good with Mercy and I'm very good with Zenyatta. Like I'm okay with Lucio. Like I can handle Lucio,
what
but
he needs to do.
Yeah, I know exactly what he needs to do. But like when it comes to tanks, I'm decent with Roadhog. I'm decent with. I actually really enjoy playing Reinhardt because I know how to play him. I know how to position the shield to make sure that everyone has an angle to get to where they need to be. I'm learning Zarya pretty quickly with random heroes because they just give her to me, and I'm like, I'm terrible at her, and so I'm
so good.
I'm finding out that she is. I'm just really bad with her.
Yeah.
So
take your own advice and just go fight against some bots with Zarya.
Hey, believe me, I've tried it.
Yeah. Another thing I would say is something that it's weird. and it's hard to get people to understand why to do this, and that's don't delay your death. And what I mean by that is if 2 of your teammates die or 3 of your teammates die and it's you and one other person against 6 people, no matter how fucking good you are, you're not going to win that fight.
Nope.
You're not going to. So if there's an opportunity to jump off the map or to kill yourself, you kill yourself. Because then what happens is if you kill yourself as soon as your team gets like wiped, so 3-4 people die on your team, this fight's over. You're not going to win it. You can't clutch it. There's no one dead on their team. You kill yourself because one, now you're going to spawn back with your team.
Yep.
Right.
And then
So
you're going to move as a unit rather
move
than
as a unit. 2,
funnel in.
If you continue fighting, you're just building their ults. That's all you're doing. You're just giving them ult, right? So you want to stop for them from building their ults, so you'll jump off the map, spawn back with your team. Coordination. It's all about teamwork. And so like a lot of times and I really learned this from just like watching pros play and seeing what they're doing and how they're coordinating certain things. And a couple times I'm like seeing them just like jump off the map. I'm like, the fuck is going on?
Yep.
But then I notice like then they're spawning back with their team and they're all grouped up. Now they're on the move this way, right? And then the same thing goes for like the freak ultimates. Like, don't freak out.
Yep.
Don't freak out.
You
If you're
know-
Zenyatta, Brian, and you're the only one alive,
You don't use it.
You don't use it.
You just die.
You just
That's
die.
it.
You just die, and don't freak out and just use your ult. And especially if like you're a soldier, like if there's a diva, don't use your ult yet.
Nope.
Wait for your team, coordinate with your team to take down the diva so she doesn't use her defense matrix, and then you ult, and then you wipe them out. But like a lot of people just like I get my ultimate and I just need to use it. And it's
No,
like you
it's
want to
so
pay
bad.
attention. You want to pay attention to not only your ultimate but your teammates' ultimates. And
More
so that-
importantly, your enemy's ultimates.
so that's in the way that you figure out your enemy's ultimates. Realistically, should be if your team is playing a very similar team comp. If I'm playing soldier and there's another soldier, I know how good I'm playing in the match. I can kind of tell how close they are to their ultimate.
Yeah.
So I should be coordinating with my team, saying, "Look, I just got my ultimate. Soldier probably is getting his very soon."
Yep.
And then that way, my team knows, okay, our soldier has his, but their soldier probably has it. Or our Mercy has our res, their Mercy probably has res. We got to prioritize killing Mercy before we can actually move in.
Yeah. My favorite thing to do is when I'm playing Zenyatta and there's a Genji and you just hear him pull out his fucking Dragon Blade. You
pink.
pop out Transcendence and you just follow him around.
Yeah.
Because no matter how much damage he does to every single person, you're immediately just healing them back up.
Yeah.
And it's because they basically waste their ult. Or if Azaria shoots her ultimate and then you get, another one, you just pop your Transcendence. I'm more of a defensive player, if you couldn't tell. I'm not really offensive.
Yeah.
More that's my role. Exactly. That's my role.
On PC, I'm playing more tank, so I've actually now started the last probably couple days. I've only been playing Winston, and he's pretty fucking incredible.
He's built a Chrome accelerator. He
I
can
mean,
definitely do that.
He is so much fun to play, and knowing my role as Winston and being that I need to prioritize killing either a Genji, a Tracer, or their healers. So I don't go after their tanks. I don't go after other damage. I go after their small damage dealers, and that's what I do. And then once the team gets annoyed with me, they'll switch to like a Reaper. And then once they switch to a Reaper, I switch to a Roadhog. Like you got to be switching throughout the game. And I just think there's a lot of levels to this game.
Yeah.
And the more you play it, like the one thing you got to remember is, especially when you start playing competitive, is don't worry about your SR rank. Just look to improve. Like, what did I do wrong that last game? How could I have been better? I mean, have fun with it. It's such a fun game. We're still playing it a year later. And I love the fact that it's always evolving. So you're never going to get too comfortable with certain characters because they're going to get nerfed and buffed. And that's what's been
You're
so
always
great.
adapting, and within matches, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Even within matches, like
Yeah.
you say, you have to change your character on the fly. You have to know who counters what, and there is a kind of a steep learning curve to that. But
Yeah.
once you understand everybody's strengths and weaknesses, you can kind of play to your advantage and win.
Yeah,
So.
no, exactly. Steve, what tip would you recommend to somebody just starting out some Overwatch?
Turn the computer off and play another game.
There you go. There you go.
Love it.
Yeah.
All right.
So-
Steve's bringing the sass right now. Bring it right back to him. Tell me about your shitty game, Steve.
Oh,
iOS. It was a free game of the week, I think, actually.
Oh, shit.
all right.
Called,
We found a couple good ones that way.
It's true. Beat Stomper.
Sounds like a good one.
Well, you would be wrong.
Beat as in B-E-E-T or B-E-A-T?
B-E-A-T. Like the Beatles.
Oh, I was hoping for like you're stomping beats in the ground.
Probably would have been a better game.
Okay.
No, actually, the game's all right. It's just another music-esque tapping game, or whatever the fuck they would call them.
Okay, so is it kind of just like Elite Beat Agents or like
Yeah,
a Guitar Hero?
Pretty much. In this game, though, you tap to reach platforms,
Okay.
and the goal is to climb as high as you possibly can before you fall. So you have to time it. I don't actually know if it's the beat. I think it's just playing music. I don't
So there's music, but you're not going to the beat?
necessarily like matching the beat, but that could have just been me not really paying attention to what's actually happening with the physics.
Well, usually when I'm on the toilet, I'm not really paying attention to the game that I'm playing, so you could have that issue too.
Very true. Lots of
Is
issues.
it a Brian Shitter game or not really?
I think it could be. It's interesting. So you kind of you time it. Your guy, with the way the physics work, the platforms are moving back and forth across the screen.
Sure.
Some faster, some slower, and your guy kind of floats a bit. So you want to time it so that he lands on it.
Gotcha. You play Splatoon at all? Did you play it?
I played a little bit, yeah.
Did you play like the mini game in between online battles or no?
No.
Okay, so there is a mini game that sounds very similar to this in Splatoon, where you just basically shoot a squid up into the air and then you have to like land on platforms.
Does he have a map?
Does he have a map?
No. Okay.
No, he doesn't.
He was shot out of a cannon. And
There's no squids.
I got a map.
Yeah. Oh, wait, this is where you're supposed to go. I don't know what accent that was. Pirate. Pirate accent.
French.
R.
Garrett, you would know.
I would know.
We.
Ho-ho.
Good God. So, Steve, Beat Stomper?
That's about it. I made it to about 50. One of my attempts.
51 or 50?
50 platforms or something like
Okay.
that. One of the attempts, I just fucking just kept tapping the screen. That works for a little bit, but then
Some good gameplay right there.
then it doesn't
Button
really.
Level design is
Well, and then I think the higher you get, the platforms also get smaller too. So it gets a little intense.
Gary and I are going to let you know how this game is during the Drunken News segment, because I'm going to download it and see how shitty it is,
If it's still free,
if it's still free.
which it should be, I guess.
Anyways.
But yeah, that's really all I have to say about it. The first tune was great, but then when I got past 50, they changed the tune up on me. Wasn't as much of a fan.
yeah. I mean, music goes a long way. Like the game like Strafe that I talked about a couple weeks ago.
Yep.
The first level has the music in the first time you hear it, it's like, all right. But like when you're doing a run-based game and you got to get through the first level to get to the second level that has different music, you're on your like 50th run, like you're just like, all right, I'm so fucking done with this song. I can't play this game anymore right now.
No, I know what you mean.
You know.
That's all I got.
All right, so I guess that leaves me. And I've actually only played 2 games, but both games that I played this week are fighting games. So,
Dog you.
yeah, I guess. So with Sony's press conference, they showed off a little bit of Marvel versus Capcom Infinite,
Yep.
and they said that the story demo is out
Available
now.
now.
Yeah, so go out and play it. So I downloaded it and I played it, and let me tell you,
Were you able to play as Wolverine?
nope, no Wolverine, no
No.
Wolverine. Although there's a surprising amount of characters in this demo. So the way that it works is that you don't get to pick who you're playing as. It's the demo, or the story. So you're kind of playing through just like an Injustice, where it's like, okay, now you're playing as Green Arrow and Black Canary, or you're playing as Superman or whatever. So the way that this worked is that it was 2-on-2 for each match, but you were fighting like generic robots. They were called like Ultron robots or whatever, X-bots or whatever the fuck they were called. Doesn't matter.
That sounds terrible.
But you would play as Captain America and Mega Man X, and Chris Redfield and Thor, and Iron Man and Rocket Raccoon, which Groot is like,
Baby Groot?
no, it's like adult Groot. So you play as Rocket
Bless you.
Raccoon, Gesundheit. And then if you do like a quarter circle and back and kick, like
jumps in.
Groot jumps onto the screen and fucking smashes the dude in the face. I'm like, yeah, all right.
There it is.
Groot. As far as that goes, that's about as good as it's going to get, because the character models all look like shit.
I noticed that they looked odd in the trailer.
So I will say that the cutscenes look fine. for the most part. You know, the way that the art design is going is that it's comic booky, but it's not. It looks like a PS3 game. It looks like Marvel vs. Capcom 3. If you put them side by side, you're not really telling the difference,
Yep.
which is not an issue for me, but it somehow looks worse. And that's a big issue for me. So like Dante looks fucking weird. Chun-Li, just like her body animations during the cutscenes.
Gamora looked just strange.
Everything looks weird except for like Iron Man, like because he looks like a fucking robot. So it's like, all right, that kind of looks okay. And the bad guy, which is Ultron Sigma, which is a combination of like two worlds villains, he looks good and he's a fucking robot. But like Captain America kind of looks weird.
I didn't see the trailer. Is it like what kind of art style is it?
Do you know what
like
Marvel?
comic booky or
No.
art,
It is like 3D, bright, colorful, but it's not. I don't know how to describe it. It's
Think
kind
like
of cell
3D
shaded.
Sonic.
Yeah,
That's a good description. Not good.
that's not too bad. That's not too bad of a description. But moving
Not the
on
best
from
Sonic game.
moving on from the shitty animations, the story is just. It's just not the best. Like, it's not as good as Injustice, and I don't know if Injustice is ruining Marvel vs. Capcom for me because Injustice was very good.
Awesome.
But like the writing and the script in this is just so like very cheesy. I understand it's a comic book game, but it is fucking bad.
Really?
And I don't know if it's
Is this like for the demo? Like, do you think it's the beginning of the game, or do you think this? Is...
this is probably midway. I would say like. So you're in Asgard, which is Thor's home world. Yeah, and everything kind of seems like Ultron Sigma is taking over. So like shit is hitting the fan. So I'm imagining it's midway through the game. You know, everything's good. They come together as two bad guys that make one terrifying bad guy. They take over the place, and then you got to fight back to get it back. Like that's the story. I already know just from this, 20-minute demo. And again, like,
spoiler.
I don't know if it's the script or the writing or just the terrible voice acting that's happening, but it's not the best. What else do we have? Sound design. So the first thing I noticed, my TV is on 10, and 10, that's the 10 out of 100. So that's pretty low. And if there's
like 10% of 100.
10% of 100, but that's normal volume.
Math guy.
Normal volume for something that if nothing else is going on in the house, like I still have to kind of pay attention to hear it. So I had to lower it to 7 because it was so fucking loud. I do not know what was happening. I don't know if
You
it's
go into like your in-game settings and turn the volume down there instead of your TV.
No, I didn't do that. But I just turned it down.
I never do that.
I mean, it is
never do that?
a demo. If it was like a game that I was playing, I would do that. But it was just a demo, so I just turned down my TV. Let's see. Sound effects were reminiscent of movies, older games, and the cartoons. So I feel like they did a really good job of getting Captain America's like shield throw sound and just like Mega Man from the older games and Iron Man from the older games. They just it was reminiscent, which I thought was kind of unique because I usually don't have like a nostalgia for sound effects. It's mostly just music. So I thought that was interesting, and that's just me. And the combat's bad too. So
No.
yeah, man.
No.
This sucks because I'm a huge fighting game fan.
Didn't you pre-order the Ultimate Edition for the collectible?
Yeah, I've actually canceled that.
That's good.
Cancel it.
Yeah, I've already canceled it.
Oh no.
That's how bad it
It's
is.
aggressive.
No, it's not aggressive. It's logical.
It's a smart man. It's like a man that's about to be married.
So button mashing seems to be encouraged in this,
So it'd be like my type of fighting game.
Yeah.
which is bad for a fighting game.
Probably.
The combos,
Not ideal, yeah.
the combos almost come automatically. So like you can just hit there's no timing to it. So like when you're playing Injustice, right? You know that there's a certain timing
Pattern
to
you have to hit.
hitting these buttons. You could just literally smash the buttons and the combo happens, and then you shoot them up into the air, and you automatically jump up into the air and start attacking them. So you get like a 26 hit combo, and you're like, I was just fucking moving my thumb around the buttons. So that's an issue for me. Special moves are okay. Like, Ryu's Fireball is fine. Iron Man's Unibeam is fine. But again,
Sounds
like a lot of just not good things.
Sounds like Injustice might have ruined this.
No, I feel like
Or-
they just haven't evolved as a game or as a franchise.
Got it.
So like 2 to 3 changed a lot of things, but then 3 to Infinite hasn't changed much. It's almost regressed. And at this point, there's better fighting games.
Yep.
Injustice is out. This new Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball Fighter Z looks fucking incredible. It looks like the Marvel vs. Capcom game that just with DBZ characters.
Which I'm sure people are going to go berserk over.
Yeah, well, it's won a bunch of like best of. They
Yeah.
tweeted out a photo today of like just their 2 cabinets that they brought to E3 and just a plethora of like best fighting game of the show, like all of these things that Marvel vs. Capcom didn't have any of. So
Sounds like you're throwing some sass,
I
Brian.
didn't even I got to the part where you fight Ultron Sigma and I lost. And it looks like you're supposed to lose because the cutscene afterwards is like the end cutscene of the demo. And it was like pre-order now, like if you want to. And then I closed out of it, uninstalled it, went on my phone and canceled my pre-order.
You did the opposite of what they asked you to. Brian.
Yeah, it was fucking bad because I know, because I follow a lot of game deals, is
Yeah.
that this game comes out September, let's say 15th or 19th. It's sometime in September.
It's half price by holiday.
Black Friday. It's good. If there's going to be a collector's edition available, kicking around, like you can still find Deus Ex and Battlefield 1
Yeah.
shit. This is going to be one of those games, and if it's not one of those games, I'm going to be very happy that I didn't spend as much money as the pre. It's a $200 game with all of that shit.
That's what you had down on it?
Yeah.
Oh, well, then that makes more
I'm
sense.
surprised your fiance didn't make you cancel that when you first.
She doesn't control my money, which is very nice. We don't control each other's money, and I got it for $160 because I got the Best Buy hookup.
That's pretty good.
I know
But
a
still,
guy that knows a guy.
I still canceled it. Still canceled it because it was shit. But
Played
so
another fighting game.
I did play another fighting game, and I played ARMS. This actually released today for the Nintendo Switch.
Are you doing a lot of this in your
I-
room, Brian?
I did not play motion controls, Gary, because
I don't want to hear about it then. Shut it down.
I mean, give it a red. Give it a red.
So what I'll say is I opened up this game and I popped it into my Switch and it didn't read. And I was like, oh, fuck. What does that mean? So I took it out, try to like reverse it,
Did you
make
lick
sure
it?
make sure it didn't like go in backwards. And nope, everything is in there. So I took it out and I gave it the old NES, right? Gave it the breathing in and popped it back in. Still nothing. I'm like, motherfucker. Did I get a broken copy of ARMS? That's going to be fucking weird. And then I popped it out and popped it back in just in one final last effort, and it worked. I was like, that, I don't like that at all.
She said.
Anyways, so
Popped
ARMS
back in.
is actually, it's a lot of fun. It's I'll start by saying it's a lot of fun. I started off and it brings you directly into the tutorial. So you know what's going on. It teaches you, there's a dash and a jump button. So you can jump and dash in the air, or you can dash back and forth and then jump. And then
How do
there's
you do this with motion controls?
move. I think you move forward, left, and right. You do that to move your character.
Block.
To block, there's buttons for blocks.
Good. Straight.
So yeah, you could do
Punch
these
out
things.
pro over here.
Yeah. So the
Do
tutorial
you see me in 1-2 switch? I mean, come on.
tutorial is actually very helpful, and it doesn't hold your hand too much. So it
Yeah.
tells you the basics, and then it's like, all right, now fight. And it doesn't really give you any like tips on how to do things, or like how to engage and fight. It's just like these are the basic stuff. Go for it.
I think I saw something. Someone was talking about it on Twitter, or there was a video where they were like, the tutorial, they'll beat the shit out of you in the tutorial.
Oh, yeah.
They
Big
don't-
time.
They're not fucking around.
Yeah, they're not. It's like you get tossed in a match. I won, but not by much.
Badass.
No, not even a little bit. What is actually really cool is that all of these characters, and you'll notice this throughout the whole game, is that everything is bright and colorful. And I feel like that's what Nintendo is really going for right now, is they're pushing that bright, colorful, no more dull grays and browns. Everything's fucking neon, like right in your face. And half of these characters look like they would just fit in the Overwatch roster. They all look like outlandish and crazy. Like you could put Ribbon Girl somewhere in the Overwatch anniversary screen, and it would take you, you and I, we would know, but someone like Steve would be like, sure, that person looks like they belong in Overwatch. And as of right now, I think there's 10 characters starting right off the bat. You don't have to unlock anybody, and I think that I noticed that there's a DLC character called Max Brass, and he's
I saw the picture of him.
Yeah, so he's actually one of the game modes is just it's like Grand Prix. So it's a tower. So you fight 10 characters, and then he's the 10th one. So he's like the M Bison of the game, if you will, which I perfected, by the way.
No big deal.
No big deal.
Are we talking about Street Fighter now, or is that
No,
Arms?
from Arms.
Oh, okay.
If you don't get hit, and it's a perfect match.
Yeah.
And that's on level 1, which is the easiest level that you can do. I can't get past the 3rd state. I'm currently on the 4th character on the 2nd difficulty. It goes all the way up to 8. So I am on easy, and this game is beating my dick hole in. It is so difficult.
Really
it is so hard.
All the reviews I've kind of seen people saying.
It's unforgivingly hard.
And then those reviews have kind of led into talking about how a lot of the games that have come out from Nintendo recently have been
A little bit punishing. It's something that you're
difficult,
not expecting.
which I'm a huge fan of.
So what I'm kind of more concerned with the difficulty setting is stage 1, I just jumped right in. You know what I mean? So I finished the tutorial, stage 1, let me pick this character, cool, and I just kind of blasted through. I didn't lose once against anybody. And what I actually is kind of cool is everything isn't just a one-on-one fight. So the first ones are like fight 1, fight 2, and then fight 3 is, it's targets. So you and I are on opposite ends of a target course. We can only move side to side. We can't go forward. And these targets pop up from the ground. So what you want to do is you want to throw, or you want to press a button to throw a punch across the map and hit as many targets as you possibly can. And then if you can, aim it and hit the person across the way, it like doubles your points. And whoever has the most points after, a minute wins that round, which I thought was interesting. It's a nice kind of like quick change of pace. And then they do it at 6 and 9 as well, where there's volleyball, where you're just hitting the ball back and forth, and if it hits the ground, then it blows up and the other person gets a point. Or like basketball, where you have to grab somebody and throw them to the hoop, and hopefully they go in. Or if you smash them off the wall and they bounce off the wall and then go back into the hoop, you get points. So if you're like behind the 3-point line, you get 3 points. If you dunk them in, if you grab them and fucking slam them in the hoop, which is super satisfying, by the way, you get 2 points.
This sounds super strange.
It is. It's so weird. It's so fucking weird, but I'm having a blast with it right now. Where I was until I started playing level 2.
Yeah.
And then
is this, and I don't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
Is this a game that you foresee that you're going to be playing more than, we'll say, 2 weeks? No. The difficulty, I feel like the difficulty would add some longevity to it because, like, obviously it's going to be a little bit harder to get through.
The problem is it's not the difficulty. It is like a hard stop difficulty curve. Like level 1 is easy. Level 2 is hard. Like to the point where I can't get past the 4th stage.
Is it hard just because they're better than you, or is it hard because like it's like you're finding it like you're dying in like cheap ways, or you're like
No. So the strategy. So the way that the first level works is that you can just kind of throw punches and kind of dodge things very quickly, but it doesn't kind of get you. It doesn't prepare you for the deep, complex like battle mechanics of this game. And then when you go into level 2, they just expect you to already know it. And it's like, well, no one fucking taught me anything. I'm not that good yet. So you're not used to fighting those opponents. So I stopped after a while and I jumped into what they call party mode, which includes all of the different fights. So, you know, you can do 2-on-2, you can do 1-on-1, you can do 3-way battles where you're aiming with the right analog stick to switch between different characters. So that's actually pretty interesting because you and I can be fighting and then Steve can kind of be like, all right, who's low on health, who's high on health? Let me attack them while they're not paying attention.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. And so you're just playing and you're earning points, these little like coins. If you win, you get more. If you lose, you get 1. And those coins are used to unlock the target minigame. And if you if you do well in the target minigame, you unlock a different arm, a different boxing glove for your character.
That's what I was going to ask, is how do you get more arms?
So that's how you get more arms, and each character has a loadout of 3 arms. So at any given point in any fight, you can choose which hand. You know, your left hand has the normal one, the normal boxing glove, but your right hand has a rocket, or you know, the left hand has a boomerang and the right hand has a snake one. You know what I mean? Like, there's a bunch of different arms that you can unlock and collect, and each character has their own starting ones, and you can unlock different arms for, you know, like let's say for example, each character has their own unique ability. So my favorite so far is Ribbon Girl, where she can jump in the air a bunch like Kirby can. Each character can only do that jump once, but she can bounce back and forth in the air and dash a bunch of times because she's floating in the air. Yeah. But she only has a certain amount of like boxing gloves, arms, if you will, and then to unlock other characters' arms, you have to do that little mini game and then, you know, progress further. Shit. I have so much written down. I'm sorry. So each glove does something different. Like there's you throw out a tri-punch, or it's a twirling one that does 2 damage, but then it also, like, if it charges up enough. So I should probably mention that. So if you're fighting and you're not really, you haven't thrown a punch in a little bit, your gloves will then, like, spark up a little bit to let you know, like, if you punch now, or if you use this punch now, it'll be like more of a special punch, so it'll do a little bit more damage. So my twirling one, if I hit the person, it sends them flying in a little tornado, which is then, you know, it allows you to get better position.
So at all times when you're not throwing punches, you're building this up?
Yeah.
And the longer you're like dodging, not getting hit, you're building up, so you're...
Well, the thing is from what I've learned is that when your gloves or when your arms light up like that, there's probably like a 2 to 3 second window where you have that special
ready to go.
If
you don't use
if you don't use it, it kind of goes away. You do lose it.
So if you don't use it, you lose it, Brian? Is that what you're telling me?
That's exactly what I'm telling you.
Makes sense.
So one thing I've learned is everything about this game is strategy. You can't, you know, like everywhere from like placement, each map has its own kind of like unique thing.
So you're telling me it's not Marvel v. Capcom?
No, it's much better than Marvel vs. Capcom. You really have to know what you're doing, and you can't just be throwing punches, because if you throw punches, your guard is gone. You don't have any, you know, like if you throw both of your arms and I dodge them, I can just fucking light you up.
Bury you.
Yeah, and then you go to the ground, and then I have a better, you know, position on you.
Yeah.
So you really have to make sure that each punch is deliberate, and you're not just throwing arms. So let's see. Jumping and dashing is also very important, because you don't want to just be sitting there blocking the entire time, which you can do, but you're still taking damage and
get some position.
Yeah, exactly. It's strange because it is a boxing game. But like weird and goofy, if that makes sense.
Mayweather versus McGregor.
Yeah, very topical.
That's what we do here.
The environments are unique, so each level has its own thing. Like some bombs will drop on the ground, or like drop, and you can punch the bombs to the enemy and do damage, or you can, you know, there'll be platforms that elevate you, so you have the high ground, or there'll be pillars that you can punch around but can't punch through until they break down. What else are there? So one match actually is in like a bowl. So it's like awkward to throw straight punches and curved punches. It's just awkward to throw punches because you're at that like weird
It's
different
interesting because
levels.
I didn't know this game had like these like mini games inside of the game.
Oh, there's so many like little tiny details that you.
That's a lot better because when I just saw like gameplay of it, I just saw two people just like trying to punch each other.
Oh, there's so much strategy to it.
That's cool.
And like to the point where I'm infuriated because I'm not getting it. Because I'm usually pretty good at fighting games,
Yeah.
and I'm not getting it. Not getting it whatsoever.
Sounds like you just need me to come over there
And just show me how it's done. Let's see. So the online play, I kind of touched upon that a little bit, but there's ranked matches and then there's the party matches, which I didn't go into ranked matches yet because I don't want to get my dick hole kicked.
Level
Yeah,
two.
I can't get past level 2.
Your
What-
dick hole's getting kicked in on.
multiple levels.
You know.
So I just jumped into party mode, and it's very quick. So the way that it works is it's this screen, and there's like 8 little icons. So, it's like Gary's icon, Brian's icon, Steve's icon, listener's icon, whatever it is. And then they randomly like match you together. And so it'll be like Gary versus Brian, but it's Gary versus Brian in hoops. And then it goes to Gary versus Steve and you guys and listener. And then it's a 3-way fight. And then it's Gary and the listener
So
and
as
me
you
and
guys are playing,
Steve.
there are other people watching.
No. So the way that it works is that like when you enter a lobby and there's matches going on, it kind of like waits for another person to join and then puts you together. Or if no one joins and then everyone kind of backs up out of their matches, it puts you into that match. So it's never like someone sitting there waiting for the match to end unless they joined mid-match. You know what I'm saying? So you're never really waiting. They kind of take who's in that lobby and puts them into some sort of match.
Yeah.
So I've seen 2-on-2, although some of the 2-on-2s are weird because you'll be linked together, so you don't have that free roaming capability, which is a fucking clusterfuck.
Yeah.
Because if you're tied to somebody and you try to dodge left and they're too far right, you're not going anywhere, and then you just get hit.
Yep.
So, but the 2-on-2 free, being free from each other is much better. Let's see. Sorry. Earning coins, we talked about that. Difficulty, I can't even, Grand Prix.
So I'm going to interrupt.
No, go ahead.
So a lot of people,
Sorry to interrupt.
I'm not sorry, have compared this to Punch-Out, where, well, at least it's difficult. Well, I don't even know if it's
Is that
difficulty,
people saying
but
that now that it's released, or people just saying that like
It looked like it.
a little of both. I think the reviews had compared it to Punch-Out a lot.
So I would say that
For a Punch-Out veteran like yourself,
a Punch-Out veteran
talking to me?
like myself,
of course I am looking right at you.
a Punch-Out veteran like myself would say that this game is nothing like Punch-Out because what Punch-Out's thing is you're playing against a computer that has a set skill, like a set skill base.
The way you were talking about it made it seem like when you were talking about the strategies that there were certain
So the thing
like
is
tells
with
or whatever.
there's no tells with these characters.
Okay.
So the thing is with Punch-Out is that like if you're fighting Glass Joe, you know what his tells are, you know what he's going to be doing,
Exactly.
and
Is
then
that
you
true,
move.
Gary?
just knock them out in the first round.
You knock him out in 41 seconds.
Exactly.
But with this, the characters don't have tells. Like me playing against a computer versus me playing against somebody playing, you can't really tell the difference. Especially when the level, like on like level 2 or level 3. I even tried level 4 and I didn't get a punch off. So there's no real tells to these characters. You need to know, I guess, which gloves do what, and then kind of how to avoid that. So there is a character named Min Min, where her jump, if you jump and dash in the air, she can block your glove and kind of counter you. Or there's a ninja character that if you go to attack him and he dashes at the right time or he blocks it at the right time, he'll counter you and then throw a punch. So you just kind of need to know what each character does. So there's lots of like little nuances to it, and each glove does something different, and each combination do different things. So there are lots of things like that. Oh, and I forgot to mention, there's a fucking super meter. So you're charging up your super meter, and so your health bar, the UI is very nice. Your health bar is kind of like on your character, and you can see the other character's health bar, but you can also see their special, so you know when they have it. Yeah, so you know that when they have it. So at that point, you're kind of like, oh shit, are they going to use it? When are they going to use it? And when they use it, it's like you press it and you're powered up, and then your punches are just much stronger. And if you connect with one of the punches, it kind of keeps them in there. So it's like one punch, and then like you can keep slapping that punch, and it like repeatedly punches them. Or if the glove is like a rocket glove, it does a big explosion. But you can like throw punches and chain them together, and you can do upwards to like 400 damage to somebody, and that takes like, I'd say that takes probably about more than half of their health. The worst part, I think the most broken thing about the game though that I've found are grabs. Each grab does 150 plus damage, and to grab somebody, you just throw both punches at the same time. And if I grab you, it does 150 damage, and it's so easy to grab people that it's turning into dodge. Okay, he missed. Let me grab him and just do a bunch of damage. So I'm hoping that they patch that to make grabs less effective.
Sounds like you just need to get good, bruh.
That is true. I do need to get better, but the grabs are broken.
Get good, bro.
Grabs are very much broken.
No, it isn't broken, Brian.
The end of this segment.
Let's get the fuck out of here.
All right. We're going to take a quick break with, under our thumb. And
Come back with this
weird
30-second three-way.
30-second three-way that we got going on.
Potentially.
Potentially, so stick around.